So now we're going to move on to the next wine, the Michael David Petite Petite, 85% Petite Syrah, 15% Petite Verdot, with a label that's definitely appears to be very Lodi. There are two elephants with dancing mice, and it's a wine that doesn't seem to be, excuse me, taking itself too seriously.
That is definitely a Michael David product.
Yeah, it is.
Well, yeah, I think you have to give Michael David credit. I mean, they also produce Seven Deadly Zins, which was one of the first real breakout wines for the region, and that originally started as 7 different vineyards that went into it back in the early 2000s, and it's just been year after year success with it, and it's created a platform for them to create wines like this, which is Petite Syrah, which is another variety that does very well in our soils here, along with a whole portfolio of wines they do. And this wine, I think, demonstrates their distinct style as well too.
So, Jay Trika asked, Lodi is known for Zins. What is the best underappreciated varietal from Lodi? And this, I saved that question because for me, I'm a big fan of Petite Syrah. And as I said earlier, I tend to like things with a little less alcohol, and petite when it's really ripe. This is 14.5. This is probably just where it should be. I mean, I'm guessing you guys would know better, but this is the kind of wine I think is underappreciated.
Petite Syrah would be a perfect representative of that statement, or would be something that he's looking for, because you might not see a ton of Petite Syrah labeled wines, but it's in an awful lot of wines, and it's in an awful lot of wines because it is a variety that grows here very well.
What does it do to the wine? Why is it added to wines?
Petite Syrah can add a little structure, a little backbone to wines that might be lacking in that, and probably the biggest contribution that Petite Syrah makes to wines is color.
Yeah, this is
when you
black purple.
Crush Petite Syrah grapes, it looks like you were a mechanic on an oily engine, because your hands are just black. They stain everything.
I think one of the neat things with Petite Syrah is that in some areas it can get a little too rusticy or a little too structured, where here you have this plush fruit that kind of balances out the underlying structure of the wine well.
Going back to Zin, Bob Fike is asking, Zin grapes, how long does Zin take to mature here, and does that contribute to the alcohol? It obviously contributes to the alcohol in that you're waiting for sugars to accumulate, but is Zin a later harvest here than other regions?
Whenever I pick Zin from this appellation, I never have to worry about sugars. I do check them just so I don't have any surprises. But in Lodi, we're probably one of the first districts to pick Zinfandel of the major districts in the wine growing regions. I know we'll be completely done with Zinfandel before I pick one single Zin berry from the Sierra foothills.
Oh, interesting. Big difference.
It usually starts, some of the dry farmed, lower yielding Zin vineyards will start around Labor Day sometimes. And then most of the red Zin is finished up hopefully by the end of September. Last year was a little different, but that's kind of average.
Yeah, I would say, right. Stuart's perfect on that, because the Zinfandels ripen up. Usually they let us get out of August, but that'll depend on the vintage.
Just barely?
Sometimes just barely.
So Zin and Chard, I don't know if Zin is the biggest variety as far as acreage goes, but Zin and Chardonnay seem to be comparable in yields.
Actually, the graphic you got there was from 2011, which
correct,
was
yes.
the lightest crop Zinfandel we've had in forever. And so normally Zinfandel is about 20% more than Chardonnay in the district.
That's interesting. But still, I mean, I was surprised. The reason I have this graphic up, Chardonnay, very, very close to Zinfandel and significantly higher. It's still significantly higher than Cabernet. Really important variety in the region, and yet not something that you see a lot of. Lodi appellations Chardonnay.
You don't see it on the label, but you see it in a lot of labels.
And I think, part of that speaks to the wineries and their kind of way of differentiating themselves in the market. And there are a lot of Chardonnays out on the shelves, and a lot of our smaller producers have focused in on some of the niche varieties to distinguish themselves and kind of, set themselves apart instead of doing a Chardonnay or a Merlot or something like that.
But as Tim alluded to, a lot of the Chardonnay, a lot of the Petit Syrah ends up blending into other wines, adding some oomph or some structure or some spice, or that's the reason why.
Yeah, there's definitely demand for the Chardonnay grapes in the area.
I would imagine
we
so.
have, we have wineries all over California that come here to purchase grapes, and we always say we're the industry's best kept secret. So they like to keep it that way.